In the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. It's Tony Lynch. I'm the host of this podcast. And yes, we're your number one podcast to bring you stories around death, dying, and grief, all the messiness that comes in between, with some amazing people doing some amazing things, changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, if it's your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And as always, I have another amazing guest for you guys and some exciting news coming up as well. Now, before I bring on my next guest, I would like to say if you have any, this is for educational purposes only, okay? Now, without further ado, guys, help me welcome my next guest to the show, Janna. Janna, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Tony. How are you?
I am doing well. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Now, before we get started, introduce yourself to the audience. So tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
My name is Janna Wellemeyer. I actually am kind of a traveler. My husband retired from the Coast Guard. So we decided years ago when he retired out that we were going to take the kids and kind of travel around and see different parts of the U.S. and just kind of enjoy family time. Currently, I am in South Dakota, but most of my work does happen in the digital space here. I am a grief recovery method specialist and love to help others work through kind of all that nasty stuff we don't like to talk about.
This is very true. Now let's talk about what does grief recovery method really means, right? Because I've got the book and everything, and I've talked to a lot of people who have taken the course and become grief recovery specialists and things like that. So in your line of work, or in your thoughts, in your own words, let's talk about what that means.
This is one tool to have in your toolbox to help you on your grieving journey. So this is a way, it's an educational program that you walk through either one-on-one or in a group setting often, but usually you'll be paired with a partner to kind of do homework and stuff together so that you guys can kind of work through relationships one at a time. I say relationships mainly because even if we look at other grief events that we've had, whether it be a loss of a job or moving or any of those kind of big things that kind of bring ill feelings for us, usually somehow we can tie it back to a relationship with a person. So for example, I came into this working on my stillborn son. And so I had a lot of unmet hopes, expectations, and dreams that I had never been able to walk through, talk about, or even myself really consider, I guess, out loud. And so this process of learning how to navigate those feelings helped me see all of those things that I had been hiding and not talking about or not dealing with. Like I said, just as a son, I'm supposed to be here growing with you and see you going to your first days of school. And there's so much that I didn't get the opportunity to have, but that's not stuff that anybody else will mention to you either when they're asking, how are you doing in your grief? So I guess that was one of the biggest things that drew me to this program, was that it worked for me. It was a way to get out all of those feelings, not just on paper necessarily, but vocalizing them. And that helped me no longer hold on to it and feel like I was completely alone in my grieving space.
Well, that really makes sense. And like I said, I've done my study and I've talked to, because that was one of the roads I was going to go down, as well as having more tools to add to my arsenal, right? Because when I became a grief coach, I knew that I wanted to work with men. right?
Yep.
It made more sense to me to be in that space. Now, there was a lot of things I had to learn, like, the most controversial one, the 5 stages of grief. Now, I am right there with a lot of other people. I understand, and I've had to explain this to a lot of people. Um, that came after me. It was like, well, there's a reason why we don't do this. I was like, hold on, that's not what I said. I call them pillars because what I found is that well, what I understood once I'd done the research was that the 5 stages of grief was written for people with terminal illness. And
Exactly.
I've been trying to reiterate that to people, and they, of course, they come after me. They were like, "You don't know." I was like, "Okay," so I'm gonna say it again. When it comes down to the 5 pillars of grief, I reworded it and said the reason why I do this is because every pillar I can take apart and add something into it that actually identifies with someone who's going through loss. Now, depending on the individual, you may add something in there that maybe I didn't even think about because of your
Hmm.
experience. It doesn't mean that everything is wrong about it. It just means that it's diversible, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I love to, when I talk to people and I say that, they're like, well, I thought you said. I was like, no, that's not what I said. I said this because I understand, but you have to understand the difference. Now, in your thoughts and opinions, what do you think about that?
In in my experience, like even referring to them as, like you said, stages or pillars of grief, because it is so focused on somebody that is going through the death process, a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily apply to me as a griever. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to go through it differently. I'm going to manage those feelings and thoughts, and it doesn't mean that it's something, I guess, that if I'm not doing it exactly as, this 5 stages says,
Yeah,
that I'm
yeah,
doing it wrong, or I'm grieving wrong, or, oh, I must not have cared enough. Or, I
mm,
think we put way too much into defining what we should be going through or how we should be
mm-hmm,
going through it, when really grief is very, very individualized to the person. And I've also discovered that it's not even a straight line point where you're going to get to this end point and be
yeah,
done with it. It's very
yeah,
cyclical, in which we circle back around and come back and deal with it, but we're dealing with it on a new level where we have new tools, new feelings. It's been kind of interesting to watch the full circle moments of coming back and re-healing things at different levels.
yeah. And you know what? I totally agree, and I would love to add to that as well because one thing that people tend to do, especially being a man, um, we tend to try to compare what we're going through like it's a competition with
Mm,
the next man, right? I know you're going through this, but I'm going through this too, and it becomes a competition. Now, the one
yeah.
thing that I do with the men is I go, hey, no, we're going to honor each other.
Yes.
We're gonna step back. We're not going to compete. You're going to be respectful of this individual, and they're going to do the same for you, right?
Hmm.
And when I, even when I do groups, even when I do go out and I speak to women about how to hold space for their men and things like that, I tell them, I was like, the first thing you have to understand that when men grieve, it's a foreign love language that no one speaks because we sometimes don't know how to articulate that. So you cannot take the those basic fundamentals and apply it to what you see your partner, spouse, or your brother, your cousin, or uncle, or anything like that going through. You have to be in the moment and allow the conversation to unfold. But also the main thing. Now I want to get what your experience is on that as well from the work that you do. The main thing is that I need you to keep in mind that just because you want to talk doesn't mean that I want to talk,
Yes.
right? So if you push me, I'm going to shut you out,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to allow you to come back in, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, in the work that you do and the people that you work with, what are some of the things that you wish people would know when trying to hold space for either their their spouse or their partner, whether it be male or female?
I think one of the biggest things is that we are so different.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about knowing the person, I guess. Like you said, just a barrier between men and women. I've
Yes.
noticed working with men, they won't open up and talk about any of it because that's not how they're raised. They don't know how to communicate feelings.
Yes.
And even if I do, I'm not supposed to tell you about it because you're a woman and I'm supposed to take care of you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to
Mm-hmm.
let you know that I'm having a bad day. But on the other side of it, I tell people what's most important is listening. Just offering hey, are you okay? Do you need to talk? I'm here to listen. And then if they start sharing an actual story, we can't find or we can't use that natural ability of ours where we want to butt in and offer suggestions on how to get past it or how to
Yes.
fix this. Or we just have to sit there and hold space and listen and let them get what they need out. One of the other big things I've always seen, even in the digital space here, it's a hug. We often at the closing of our thing,
Ooh.
we give a digital hug. Like, here's me giving you a big hug.
Yeah.
Sometimes even just symbolizing this will bring somebody to tears because it's been so long since they've had somebody actually physically give them a hug saying, hey, I'm sorry. I'm here for you.
Yes. Yes. And you know, someone said that, a friend of mine said that, he goes, you know, if a person is not used to being hugged, they don't know how to receive or
Yeah.
reciprocate, because what they may deem as, what you may deem as a hug, they may deem as, hey, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to hurt me,
Yeah.
type thing. But that also depends on how they had to approach life, or the things
Yes.
that have compounded on them during life, right? We talk about grief, we talk about loss, and things like that. And one of the things that I'm going through this quote, I'm looking for this quote that I put together, and I wrote it down. Well, I put it in my computer, and it kind of reflects on everything that you had just said right there. Now, but now as I'm looking for this, and I don't know where it is. Oh, one of the things that I was doing, because I'm creating music for a sound. I'm creating a soundtrack for a graphic novel that I'm doing, The
Uh-huh.
Adventures of Grief Guy. And so I started sitting up here thinking, as I was going through, and I came up with this quote. It says, as we all know, grief doesn't rush, neither does great art.
Mm.
That right there. It really hit me, because what I started doing, I started to reflect on the journey of becoming who I am today,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, and having to learn not only how to articulate what I was going through, but also to be patient in the things that I wanted to create for the world of grief, for not only myself, but for men, women, and children, in
Mm-hmm.
a way to say, I want to give you something back of what I've learned, but I've just learned how to be creative with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? And so in that right there, if that was a statement that you saw just randomly, didn't know that I did it or anything like that, but you saw it somewhere, what would you think about that?
Again, it draws a very good picture of how we can't rush any part of grief, whether it be the feelings, the
Mm,
ceremonies involved with it, trying to rush somebody through moving them to the next life. Say you lost a spouse or something like that. Often that's one of the big things is, oh, well, you got to get yourself back out there,
yeah.
go meet new people. We can't do that. I mean, we're trying to be helpful and we're trying to make somebody happy, but in essence, making them rush through a process they're not ready for
Oh,
makes it kind of worse. um Even like you mentioned, like with a hug and people not liking a hug. I mean, it can literally be just that sense of, okay, how about a handshake? Just something, being able to reach out and ask, like, are you okay with this? I think
right.
another good one with people um is, I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
um Yeah, I completely lost that train of thought. It's out there. There's grief for you, right? Okay, take it away.
That's okay. That is definitely okay. Now, what is the one thing, and I'll kind of ask this in a couple part question. What is the one thing that you wish that you knew um when you went through your loss?
Mine, actually I have several, but the one that I kind of came into grief recovery stuff for was, like I said, my stillborn son mainly. Um, my biggest thing was that I tried to do it all alone. My
Mm,
husband being Coast Guard, he was actually out on deployment. And so I was back out here closer to family so that I had somebody around to kind of help with my other kiddo.
mhm,
And when I got the news that there was no more heartbeat, I had my parents come get my other son and take care of him. But that left me literally going and doing this all alone. So
mm.
my biggest thing is, even though you're strong and you think you can get through this, you're gonna kick yourself, because it causes so much more grief,
Yes, it
anxiety,
does.
worry. Like, there was so much that happened to me in that delivery room. They went completely against my wishes. With, I didn't want to be medicated so that I could remember what was happening. I wanted to feel
Mhm.
this, and they went against that. They medicated me, and it was a rush thing where I was just another number going through the ER kind of a situation. It was,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, well, great. You're done. You just had a baby, but go ahead, get dressed, go home. We'll see you later. And then, I had no idea how to process any of this because nobody was there with me to help me. None of the
hmm
medical team had anything to say on it other than, I'm sorry, goodbye. Um, so from my experience being so unique, it's just, don't go at it alone. I know we feel like we're a burden if we reach out and ask for help. But
yeah.
truthfully, in any situation, if somebody truly cares about you and you reach out, they're going to be there. They want to help.
That's very true. And I want to add to it because depending on your environment,
Mm-hmm.
right? As a male, we have this persona that we need to be strong all the time,
Yep.
which in turn, like we have a strange way of speaking to each other. Do we know how to support one another? I would say 1 in 6
Right.
know what that truly means. It's easier for me to say, Janna, if you need me, I'll be there,
Right.
right? But when you actually come into that space, I don't know how to be in that space with you because
Right.
you're opening up the doors for me to be vulnerable with you, and
Yeah.
I'm afraid that that's going to bring up some other things that I'm not prepared to deal with,
So
right?
much. Mm-hmm.
So there's a stigma that comes along with that too. Now, I say that to say this because it's not all men. There's women out there that feel that they need to be strong as well.
Yep.
And this is where I'm trying to bridge the gap and go, look, we're all doing it the same. We're just looking at it in different ways.
Yep.
So if we can sit down and really understand the language that comes along with this, it allows me to be able to be in that moment with you without feeling as if I'm going to make a mistake,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I've put together, but also one of the most important things, and it took me a long time to get to this, but often feel as if my journey has been fast tracked. I've only been doing this 7 years, but I've advanced in so many different areas that I could not even believe it as well through conversation and just through experience, right? Like it makes sense to me. So, uh, um, I guess my next question would be, as a practitioner, if you was to educate other practitioners about the biggest mistake that they will probably make when they get into this field, what would it be?
Don't lose your human side.
Mm.
Again, I say this coming from like the medical practitioner side as well. But one
Hmm.
thing I have noticed, especially as we get so caught up in the work and trying to help people, that we kind of get them into a number situation too, where we're not actually showing our true feelings and self and being human and compassionate towards them. So
Hmm.
keep that sense of compassion in every story and every person that you're connecting with. That compassion, that love, that sense of community is what
Hmm.
grievers really need. They need to know that, they're not a burden. They're not just another dollar for you, so to speak.
Hmm. Very
Um,
true. Very true.
that you're truly here to help them heal, and you're going to be here for them even after your work with them is done. They
Hmm.
want to know that they're being treated, like I said, as a human.
Yeah,
And
and
far
respected
too
as such
often,
as well.
yes, exactly. Far too often, we're easy to be like, okay, you went through this program, I'll reach out again in 6 months and check on you once or twice, and that's about it.
Mm.
And
That's
it can't
very
be
true.
that way. It's, we're grieving, and that's part of why in my setting, I really enjoy doing one-on-ones more,
Hmm.
because I am not only asking you to do hard work, but I'm doing the hard work with you. I'm sharing my hard stories with you on a one-on-one. You're going to be crying, I'm going to be crying, and we're going to come out of this being really good friends, knowing that if something's wrong, you can always send me a text like, hey, do you got 5 minutes to talk?
Yeah.
That's the kind of connection I think we need to build, even as fellow practitioners in this space. Is, I'm always here for you. Somebody's always available to listen. I'd rather hear your story for 5 minutes than
Yeah.
get the phone call that you're no longer with me.
I love that because I have a similar saying. I'd rather be there with you than to read about you.
Yes.
So I love that right there. But I also love what you said, and if I may, I would love to add something to that as
Uh-huh.
well, right? And one of the things that I've understood is that a couple of things that help me out in my practice, that when I'm in a space with you, I'm here to visit with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make you be comfortable. Now, this is where I may differ when it comes down to sharing personal stories and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, because I do, right? You know what I'm saying? I do because I want them to know where I come from, because trust
Right.
is a big thing when it comes down to the male population, right?
Yes.
So my approach has to be a little bit different. One thing I have understood is that they're not here for my story. They're here for what I carry, the tools and stuff that I carry for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know, hey, unless I'm asked, I'm gonna let you dictate the direction of the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, um, if you're an empath and you become emotional, you can kind of direct that conversation to where you take away from the people that you're with. Now everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beautiful thing about it. You won't know until you in that situation or in that area with this
Right.
individual, right?
Right.
So you have to be diverse. You have to be able to know to adapt to the situation and kind of go with the flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have a rule, like I'll let you dictate the way that this conversation is going to go. I'm going to follow your lead, right?
Right.
Yeah, and now the other thing is too, that I really understood, in a way, was you have to be mindful, um, of how you speak to an individual,
Mm-hmm.
because of the simple fact of, as a practitioner, we can have high expectations for the people that we in, because of where we are in our journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we're just because we are here, we can't expect that the people that we serve to be on the same level. So you have to go back a little bit and be reminded of the steps that you took, which I
Yep.
think it allows us to be more compassionate to our fellow grievers,
Mm-hmm.
to allow them the grace and the patience to be able to walk, but with the understanding that this is not going to be easy. This is going to be very tough, like you said in the beginning. This is not a straight line. This thing is all over the place. Grief is messy.
Yep.
Don't worry about how you do it. but you do have to start, because there's a few things that opens up that happens when you begin on that path. One, it's going to reveal who you are. That healing journey as a mother,
It is. Yep.
you know,
Every day. Every day.
it's a mother. It'll definitely take you to some different places. And I often remind the men that you're going to have dark times,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean that, what I'm saying, that it's going to be like that. They will pass, but that also depends on you.
Yep.
Also, when, and I'm throwing out a few things out there, when you have a client who's, in addiction and things like that, and they get down on themselves, I often have to tell them, take a step back. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to change until you hit your version of rock bottom,
Hmm.
right? And so what I encourage their family members to do is that, do not take away the shovel, because what's going to happen is that they're going to get to a certain extent, and that work over there isn't done. They haven't hit that version of rock bottom to really
Right.
make them appreciate the journey that they're on. I had to do it. I'm pretty sure all of us had to do it at some
Yep.
point. And if you didn't, they're really privileged, and I'm glad that they didn't have to do it. But it took
Yes.
me being homeless, losing everything, and almost taking my life. Right,
Hmm.
feeling hopeless in the world, feeling like the ground wasn't even there. I went beyond the ground, and I was in the pit of hell. You know, and I had to. It was like I had to walk through it. I had to grow through it. I had to redirect everything that I thought was true about the journey, and allow myself to be submissive to the journey,
Hmm.
to be willing to go, I don't know it all, but I'm willing to learn. And I think, for me, that was the best decision I could ever make, because it allowed me to be open, right? But also emotional.
Yes.
Now, there's a difference between being sensitive and emotional, because when
Yes.
you're emotional, you have to really articulate what you're going through, and it's not cut and dry,
Right.
right? You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm confused, you know what I'm saying? Just because I look confused doesn't mean that I'm confused. I can be flabbergasted.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Just because I look sleepy to you, I could be mentally exhausted.
Exactly.
So you have to learn how to be honest with yourself and what you're actually feeling. But again, everything that I do as a practitioner is theory until it's
Hmm.
proven, right? So if it's compiling all of this information together, it- building a solid blueprint and going, this need to be one of those things, to where, as we begin to develop as an industry, a grief industry, which is
Hmm.
beautiful, right? To see how everything is going. But you have to be able to take old techniques out, because when they no longer work, and to be able to add new ones in, to
Right.
be able to be effective with the generations that come behind us as well.
Hmm. Yep.
you know but again, I'm just a practitioner, right? Or I'm just a theorist until, what I'm saying, until I really have solid proof that these things are working. But
Exactly.
I'm a work in progress, just like all the rest of us.
Exactly.
So I guess my next question would be, um what give me three. What are the three biggest challenges that we face as practitioners moving forward, as this industry is starting to grow, uh, uh, um, as big as it is right now? Because I got three of them. One is learning how to be successful at it financially and
Hmm.
mentally, spiritually, emotionally, right?
Right.
Because that's the hardest thing that I find with people, is that they don't know how to generate revenue doing this, unless you're
Hmm.
like a high-end therapist or psychiatrist, or
Right.
things like that. Now, I have a blueprint. I've been successful at it, in certain areas. I'm still working on those certain areas.
Hmm.
The second one is, um, knowing when a client is not knowing when you're not suitable for a client, to be able to hand that person off and go, I look, I this is not my field, but I know somebody who who would be better suited for
Right.
you. What I find that the biggest challenge is that you get someone and they may get a paying client, but their expertise does not fit that. And so
Hmm.
instead of letting them go and find the correct one, they try to hold them on and then try to do a crash course to show to seem as if they're more knowledgeable about what they're going through. And the third, and this one I really hate to say, but we're starting to see an influx of narcissists starting to flood the industry. Now,
Hmm.
those are my three challenges that I've seen. What are three challenges that you see with the industry and what we may encounter?
I guess one of the biggest ones I've started noticing more, like you said, because we're having such a boom right now where everybody's coming into this grief space,
Hmm.
is that we are all grievers at different levels in our grief
Hmm.
journey. And some of us being brand new in that healing journey still haven't healed enough to
Hmm.
really
Ooh.
to really be offering as much as we're wanting to offer. Like, we really need to be doing our own personal work day in, day out to continue
Hmm.
healing our hard hearts so that we have that safe space to offer. Like, I think that goes down where, you're using the narcissistic side, where it's, if I haven't healed myself and I start personally attacking like another practitioner or something, like, that's not creating a safe space that we're going for in this grief community. Like, we need to be
Right.
a united front, do our own healing, and be kind. Um, that's one of the first ones I guess I've seen recently, especially. Um, the other one, I guess, is all the courses that are out there, like with digital
Yes.
marketing and stuff. Like, everybody can go
Mm.
on there and find a $97 course, and hey, now I'm a grief certified. Well, but are you really certified? What did you learn? What did you find in, this internet course that you purchased? Or is it actually a certified program? Is it through an institution? You know, the education part is just as important as your own healing side. Um,
Right.
and continuing education. So even, with my stuff being specific to the Grief Recovery Institute, I didn't necessarily stop there. I've gone down different sides and looked at different avenues and other, grief certifications and stuff to continue my education and continue again my own healing.
Hmm.
I guess thirdly would definitely be the business side. Um, Grief is not something that is easy to market. Nobody wants to
No.
talk
Yeah.
about it. It's scary, it's
Mm.
hard, it's conversations most people
Love that.
avoid.
I love that, and if I could, I want to add to there.
Uh-huh.
One of the biggest challenges when it comes down to the business side of it that we have to understand as practitioners and business owners
Mhm.
and nonprofit founders is that the one thing that you're going to hear the most is that you're trying to capitalize on my grief,
Yes.
right? You know what I'm saying? You only want to make money off my grief.
Right.
Now, when I do a class and I tell, and I mention this, everybody, you can see a lot of people go, man, like, yeah,
Yep,
that's,
like, you got me.
and I go, well, the next time that someone says that to you, say this simple line, isn't that what you're trying to do to me?
Yeah.
There's a reason why you came to me to be able to help you walk through it. Now you're saying that I'm trying to capitalize on your grief, but you're trying to capitalize on my experience from my grief,
Yeah.
right? Because you saw something that could possibly help you.
Mhm.
But now here's the thing. You don't have to pay me for the knowledge that I can give you, but I can't be available to you 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
So you can't be mad at me when I got to go work a 9 to 5 because I can't afford to be able to do what I need to do and be of service to you and be effective with you during your journey.
Yep.
So now you can pay $300 an hour to go speak to a therapist and get put on medication, which is going to be another $500, so $800 a month, or if not more, for something that I can give you. You know what I'm saying? through a bunch of series, and it's only going to cost you maybe $60, $70
Right. And
for
not
an
the
hour or
vacation.
two of your time.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to be effective to you. Now, you also said something too about the educational aspects of it as well. Now, I was one of the guilty ones, right?
Hmm.
When I decided that I wanted to be a grief coach, to be honest with you, I didn't think that I was going to be one, but
Right.
it was something in my heart, right? In my heart of hearts, that
Hmm.
I knew that this was what I wanted to do, but I just didn't want to believe that this was the path that life has chosen for me.
Hmm.
I wanted to be something different.
Right.
To be honest with you, I wanted to be something different. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not about to do this at all. And what that I ended up doing is that through deep meditation um, and connection with the creator,
Hmm.
I argued with the creator.
Yep.
I said, there ain't no way that I'm doing this, but I had all of this knowledge that I didn't know where it came from
Yep.
through my experience of being a griever, being homeless, to be, having almost unaliving myself, to losing people, to being an alcoholic, to being a violent, all of these different things, right?
Hmm.
So now, I'm only 51 years old, so I look back on my life, I was like, no, that's not what I'm going to do.
Yep.
Right. So I argued with it. I argued with the creator because I said, you know what? I'm not about to do this. I'm not about to do this. You got me all messed up, right?
Nobody's going to talk to me about this. This isn't going to be a
Yeah,
business.
no one wants to do this, right?
Exactly.
So it took me about 9 months after my incident and everything. I'm going back and forth, but I couldn't sleep with something in my heart. So
Hmm.
one day I said, you know what? If this is true, I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna get my certification, but I'm not gonna read the book. So
Mm.
if this is what is meant to be, I'm gonna take the test.
Oh, yeah.
But if I fail, you let me go.
Mm.
You let me go on my own. I will disappear. You don't have to worry about me. No one even knows who I am anyway,
Hmm.
right? I'm just another man out here on the streets. But I didn't say that. I said I'm just another black man out here on the streets. Who cares about me?
Mm.
Who cares? I've lost everybody. Just let me go. I will go to the mountains. I will find myself a cave. I don't care if I have to go in there and share with a barrel of mountain lion. I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. And you'll never have to, even when I die, no one will even have to know. So
Mm.
that's the agreement. So I went online and I was the guy that found the $99 grief
Yep.
certification, right?
Yep.
And I said, I got you. And I went in, I took the test and I aced it 100%. It was the experience from what I did, like it made sense to
Yeah.
me. And I
Yeah.
said, I said, that's not enough for me. That's not, I'm going to have, see, I needed an excuse to be able to walk away. But what I didn't do is,
Exactly.
what I didn't realize is that I was piling up these certifications, right? And so then I said, you know what? I'm going to get my recovery, my recovery certification,
Yep.
right? So I went and got a book, Drugs in Society. I said, and I knew some recovery coaches and stuff like that. And I'm looking at them, and I know I got my experience with alcohol, right? I never done any hard drugs or anything like that, but alcohol was my downfall. You
Yep.
know, I'm gonna get my recovery certification, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna take the test, and I'm gonna get all of the certifications. Lo and behold, I started going through the test, and I got all the certifications. I said, what is going on right now, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the next one came along. And I said, you know what? That's gonna be the one that make me not do this. I'm gonna get my mental health. I'm gonna become a mental health first aider, and
Yeah.
then if I pass that one, I'm going to the next level, and I'm going to get my certification to be a mental health practitioner.
Hmm.
I sat there and I was like, man, you got to be kidding. Who asked these questions, right? Oh, this ain't nothing.
Hmm.
This ain't nothing. And I aced it. Couple years ago, what the same question that I asked you, I started pondering
Hmm.
because what I realized is that we had a lot of people who didn't want to be in the industry, but had the heart of servitude to other people who were grieving.
Yeah.
I said, and so I looked at the program that they were using. I said, man, this doesn't cut it. There needs to be more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I created I created the Grief Accomplice program, which is
Mm-hmm.
an in-depth educational program from everything that you would need to be an effective associate while somebody is grieving.
Right.
So it has all the ABCs, all the XYZs, and all the meat and potatoes in between. I can't even speak. What's happening with
Exactly.
me? And and I put it together, and I said, that's the right stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's that good stuff right there. This right here can be able to help a lot of individuals. But I'm right there with you. But now here's where I may have a little bit of unbalance with
Mm-hmm.
and everything, because the one thing that I understood, the certifications helped me get in the door,
Right.
but my experience kept me there.
Oh, absolutely.
And what I realized is that the certain this is going to sound so controversial, right? And I don't never want to discourage anybody from going out and getting those certifications because they are important, because you may learn something that you may not know,
Exactly.
but you have to cater your education to what you do,
Yes.
right? Be the best at what you do. You may not, that person may not know what it's like to lose their parents or their younger or a sibling or something like that,
Exactly.
right? Cater your education to what you do, but surround yourself with people who specialize in these different areas so you'll never have to turn nobody away,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was the one thing I was like, these certifications don't really mean anything. They just let me get in the door.
Yeah.
Now, someone may feel a little bit different than that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know because I respect everybody in their perspective fields.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd be a fool if I try to step in somebody else's field like Janna, that has more experience doing it, and try to tell Janna what to do. No, Janna, you go right ahead, right?
Exactly.
Because I understand my lane, right?
Yep.
I do. I understand my lane, and I respect it enough to where I go. This is where I belong.
Yep.
I don't need to be over there. But guess what? I have a network of grief practitioners, and I know somebody who does.
Exactly.
So I respect it. I respect it a lot. Now, let's talk about your healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, how did you one uh, um, become remain an effective mother as you were going through this hurtful experience? But also, how did it affect your husband as
So,
you're watching each other?
right. So as I was going through this, like, I could see myself backsliding. I wasn't myself. I
Mm,
couldn't, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I thrive on being able to plan and make dinners and go get groceries and do all of the things. And I got to a point where I couldn't do that stuff. My
mhm,
noise in my brain was too loud that I couldn't sit down and write out a thoughtful grocery list of what I needed for the week. Um, I got so stuck in my own head and my own pain. I knew I couldn't go any further and I had to fix it. And so
mm.
a friend actually recommended the grief recovery to me. And I was like, as soon as it came out, I was like, yes, I have to do this. I have to do this. And I wasn't even 2 weeks into it. And I could see such a difference in myself.
Mm.
Even my kids saw the difference and saw already that mom was making changes. And that helped push me because I know they're always watching. And
Yes,
emotional support, especially for our kiddos, is a huge thing today because most of us didn't even grow up knowing how to deal with our emotions. Um,
exactly.
so then after I, went through a couple more sessions, my husband started noticing that just my mindset was different. I was able to more clearly think and be able to be a little bit more like, who I was before.
Hmm.
And he mentioned that he saw the difference. And so I actually told him, I said, well, I honestly think this would be something good for you to do too. Then we have not only you helping heal yourself and your past me healing mine, us collectively healing as a family, but this also gives us the tie of being able to have a little bit deeper emotional connection, because we know through this process how to handle each other when we are in these grief spaces. Like, I can actually better recognize, when he starts feeling a little off on his side, and I can call him back in, like, hey, what's going on, instead of just letting it go like before, and just waiting until it blows into a big argument or something. It gave us a better realization for, well, grief all around, but just to be able to manage our household in a space that's safe for every one of us, and
Yeah.
show the kids especially how important it is to work through grief and be able to talk to us as parents about it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you brought up kids, because I have a lot of mentors and colleagues that do
Mm-hmm.
work with children. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why I never work with children is because I can never understand the mindset, because as a man, I was raised hard, right?
Right.
When it comes down to children, and this is why I'm grateful of being the father to my son, because my son helped me see the world through his eyes, right? How
Yep.
beautiful and how fun and how adventurous could be. Being a grown man, climbing trees. I was like, I used to do this when I was a kid. He reminded me of what it was like to be a kid. Now,
Yep.
when I went through these losses, um, my that innocent part of me left with my son.
Yeah.
So I kind of blocked it out, because I was going, you know what? I have no reason to want to go out and adventure anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did, I carried that mindset over into when I got into the grief work to work with men. I realized I can talk with men, but when it came down to the children, it was really hard for me to see it through their lens. So what
Mm-hmm.
I did, I surrounded myself with people who could see the world through their lens and be able to direct them and everything. Now, I will still sit a kid on my lap and go, look, you hug it out. Let's hug
Right.
it out. You know what I'm saying? I got big arms. I will hug you. I will comfort you, and I will listen to what you have to say. Now, far as anything outside of that, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, because I understand that's not my lane. Outside of anything after that, I didn't have any knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I can offer this up until this moment. And what I didn't want to do, and I did my journey alone. Well, not really alone. I had people who were there through intervals
Right.
throughout my grieving journey. Like, I realized that more men, once they realized that seeing me as a father to my son after my son passed away, a lot of those men that I used to go and sit in church with or be in men's groups with, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I was still learning how to be a man and be a father, but I needed
Yeah.
connection, community with my brothers in the community, right? Most of those men that I didn't even know came out the woodwork. It's like, Tony, can I talk to you? I realized I was so angry with them. Like, what do you want with me? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a family and stuff. I'm
Exactly.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go, and they went, understand where you're coming from, but I need to talk to you about when I lost my child.
Mm.
I was going, I would have never had expected that because of
Yeah.
the way they carried themselves, right? But I realized um when when I was going through this transitional period of that loss, I realized that they were just carrying their pain differently.
Yep.
They was at different stages of their grief, but what had happened is that that loss opened up the doors for them to come to me and go, "It's going to be the worst thing that you've ever done." I appreciated their honesty,
Absolutely.
because I was like, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this, and of course, being a fighter, I got to fight back.
Yep.
It's hard to fight when you can't see what you're fighting against. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a physical fight, it's a mental, spiritual, and emotional fight.
Yes.
And the emotional aspect of it, and this is just for me, the emotional aspect of it, a lot of people don't understand it. So they associate it with going, I have to be strong until
Yep.
you're not anymore. This is where I see a lot of young men or men like myself find themselves going down the rabbit hole and not come back,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, this thing is such a newborn that we're honestly just scratching the surfaces, the surface, and the different paths that we can take to be effective in
Yeah.
what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, friend of mine told me, he goes, you need a team, right, to be able to do it. And so there's one statement that I learned, um, that I had to modify. People say, find your tribe.
Yeah.
Right? I belong to so many tribes that I had to create my own.
Yep.
I had to create my own, right? I
Yep.
was like, hold on. I need to be around people like me, right? You know what I'm saying? That have experienced the extreme losses, like the
Yep.
parents, the grandparents, your sibling, the son, all of these different things. I was like, and the only way that I know how to do it, and that's how the Global Grief Network was formed,
Yep.
right? I was like, I don't have a tribe, but I can build a community, and that
Mm-hmm.
would be my tribe.
Yep.
And so I look back now and I go, this works for me, you know? So, do, what do you think about that? And what are some of the things that you would tell a person when they say find your tribe?
I think it's kind of just a generic term for you to build your support circle.
Yes.
You have to, like you did with creating your group, you have to find the people that are a good fit for you. And there's going to be a lot that aren't a fit for you. And that's okay. Learn to treasure those that are here and here to stay, here to help you grow, here to help you build, here to
Hmm.
help you be that better person and
Yeah.
moving forward. That's probably one of the hardest things because, especially in the grief space, there's a lot of people that will come wanting to help you and wanting to support you, wanting to be with you, but they tend to kind of drag you down and get that negative Nancy type syndrome. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't have this. I can't have this in my
Yep.
space. It's
Not
drawing
about to
me
do this
down.
with you.
I can't. I can't. And so you have to know that it's okay. They were there for that season. That season's now past, and move forward again, continuing
Mhm.
to build. It's kind of a slow process. It really is. But oh
Mm.
man, it has become so worth it because every new person you put in there just levels you up. I like to think of it like video games where you're leveling up every time.
Yes. I want to add to that because I totally agree with you, but there's an other side to it as well. And you said it, and I want to bring it back out to the surface just for a brief moment. You have to practice, you have to be open to the people who come in. They may be seasonal
Mm-hmm.
or they may be permanent.
Yep.
Now, here's the one thing that catches a lot of people and it hurts a lot of people along the way. They want somebody who's going to be there long term, who's only there
Mm,
seasonal. So when that
yeah.
person leaves and everything, it hurts that individual, right? And then the ones who you least expected are the ones that's going to be there with you, and it's going to be very few and far in between.
Yep.
Like you're not going to have 1,000 people that's going to be there. You're going to have maybe three, maybe four, if you're lucky enough to have those individuals that's going to be there for the long haul,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I want to put that out there for people. Like it's not personal. You
No.
have to look at a person's journey and respect not only theirs but respect yours as well, right? Because
Yep.
as an individual you're going to follow the path that you need to go to, and it's going to be full of all of these ups and downs, these misadventures and these adventures, wonderful and not so beautiful, but everyone is a hell of an experience,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Eh, so the mindset that I started carrying was, even if you're there temporary, I want to make sure that your experience with me was the best one.
Mm,
That way, when you go off on your journey, I want to wish you well
yeah.
and pray that I see you again. But also, when you tell the story of Tony and the footsteps that we took together, I want you to say, I was in such a better place when we left.
Yeah.
And I could keep hold to my promise of leaving you better than when I found you, because I don't want to be the reason that you feel unvalidated, unheard, or you know what I'm saying, or that you felt alone in this walk because I'm committed to the path that I'm on. And I signed a contract when I said, this is what I'm going to do, right? And so to me, that's my contract with the world and my communities that we encounter. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're part of this community that we're building. And once you realize that we're all connected in these different ways, it's really hard to take it personal when you want something better for the next person.
Yeah. I like that you call it like a contract with your healing and stuff. That I think if we look at our experience as a contract with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and focus more on what, I mean, sometimes people, I've heard this myself, like, doesn't it feel selfish to be focusing so much on yourself and your own healing and what makes you happy? And you know what? Even if building your community means you're taking the extra time to dive into stargazing, watching the moon, going outside and sitting by a bonfire, you know, whatever it is that can get you that connection even deeper within just yourself so that you can feel joy again. I like that idea of having a contract to yourself. I love that.
It's it's bigger than it's a contract with me, but it's a contract to the gift, right?
Yeah.
One thing I love about somebody who's sitting in that gift and things like that, and it's a reality, right? Your gift will make room for you.
Yep.
And I encourage people to allow you submit to your gift and allow your gift to take you to those places. So when people see the things that I do and think that this is, some amazing feat that I'm doing with doing graphic novels and songs and things like that, it's like, no, I'm not doing anything that you can't do yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
submitted to the gift. My gift made room for me, and I allowed my gift to take me to be creative and think outside the box because I didn't want to be like the rest of them. I didn't want to just have a one track focused mind. I wanted to be able to go, we could teach people to see grief differently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We do podcasting, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what's next? We do podcasting. Everybody's doing podcasting. Make
Yep.
yourself different. Have those deep embedded conversations. Have some fun with it, but introduce the world to the people that you're talking with because it's not about you. It's about the guests that you have on, right? Secondly, what's the difference between me and a game designer? Nothing. I have the tools to create my own game
Exactly.
around grief, right?
Yep. Yep.
What's the difference between me and the next author? Absolutely nothing. I created a graphic novel
Mm-hmm.
around grief, right? Music around grief.
Yep.
Because the one thing I think we all realize over time, it is possible to have joy and sadness at the same time, but
Mm-hmm.
education is the key to everything that you do. We are educators, and I am dedicated to educating the people that surround me the best way I know how from what I know, but also to bring in other educators to participate in educating.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what we're called to do. We can't carry this knowledge with us.
Mm-hmm.
Success is not measured by how much you make, but it's the impact that you have
Mm-hmm.
on the others around you.
Yep.
Are you pouring concrete? Or are you watering flowers?
Yes.
Which one are you going to do? Because if you're anything like me, pour the concrete. I'm a rose. I'm still going to come through that concrete. I'm going to pour nutrients out of the things that you don't think I can. And
Yep.
I'm still going to be the thing that you overlook because you left a crack in the concrete and I saw the light. And I
Yep.
said, why not? Now you can look at that in a different way. All of that concrete and stuff that's being poured over top of you is everything that you need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as nutrients. Push yourself. You say that you're a fighter to punch a hole through that concrete. All you got to do is break the surface and take that one arm and reach up to the sun.
Yep.
Stand up, right? Then you encourage everyone else around you to do the same.
Yep.
And this is how you make a beautiful garden in something that was full of dirt.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, I could be wrong, but that's just a theory of mine, right? You know what I'm saying? That's just a
Mhm.
theory of mine. Thank you again, Shy and Ter tuned in. Thank you guys for tuning in as well. Thank you for the comment over there. They're on Instagram, by the way. Go check her out, man. Go check her out. You guys already know. I know I've been kind of absent, but I've been doing podcasts here and there, and I'm about to up the game as well. Now, before I do that and give you guys the updates that's coming, because I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with us as well. Janna, as we begin to wrap this up right now,
Mhm.
two things. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me either on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all under Janna Wellemeyer, or I have my own website. It's jannawellemeyer.com. You can email me
Awesome.
as well if that's more personal, janna.wellemeyer@gmail.com.
Nice. Now, secondly, if Janna had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh, that's a good one, right?
That's a good one. Honestly, I'd have to probably go pretty simple and just say being a mom. It was one thing
Mm,
that I felt was taken from me, but I got
mhm.
it back.
I love that. I love that. And with that being said, you guys already know who it is. If it's your first time tuning in, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. But also, we got amazing things, and I do believe Janet's going to be a part of this as well. But we have the Global Grief Conference 2026 coming up April 24th, 25th, and the 26th of next year. Be sure to tune in. 3 days virtual event, presenters from across the world. If you think that we did it big on this last one, wait till you see what we do with this one. We added in a few other things. So we got cooking shows, we got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and dessert. So we got chefs coming in that's going to help you cook, and they're going to show you how to comfort cook for the grieving. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Keep an eye out as well. I do have the soundtrack to the Adventures of Grief guide that I'm working on right now, along with the graphic novel which is being narrated and put up on YouTube. So you can find that on YouTube as well. The Connect Work. Don't forget to tune in to the Connect Work every Tuesday and Thursday. We out here, talking with hip hop artists, having fun vibes, great laughs, good times, and all those great things. Got the new book coming out soon as well. And a few other things. I don't want to really get into a whole lot of it right now, but keep your eye out for the magazine as well. We also, once we get the schedule, we're going to be putting it in there, and I'll be putting that out there. And you guys already know you can download it, upload it for free, and just have some fun with us, right? But don't forget. These are live streams, so don't forget to put go back in if you haven't watched the whole thing. Great conversation with Janna and the work that she do. So just one more thing before I let you go, remind people of the work that you do and the impact that you're looking to have on those that you're serving.
I work in grief. I'm a grief recovery method specialist. I've also worked with some shamanic healing and some Reiki healing. My goal, especially as a mom of loss of children, I'm here to help mothers, especially who have gone through miscarriage, child loss, stillborn. I've also gone down the path of having a spouse that has passed due to alcoholism. Like, I'm just here for whatever you need help with if you just need a listening ear.
I love that. I love that. And you guys already know, with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode of Grief Let's Talk About a podcast. I got more coming. So keep your eyes out for that. Tony is coming back full steam ahead. I'm like the locomotive. Can't stop me. Can't stop me. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm picking up passengers as we keep rolling too. All right. And with that being said, guys, thank you guys for tuning in on all the channels: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, uh, um, YouTube. Thank you guys for always the support. We had 732 subscribers right now. We're trying to get to that 1,000. So share this around. You know what I'm saying? And if you know anyone who could benefit from the conversation that we have, please share this along with them. Right. And always tune in, because you just never know what you may learn or the people that you may meet. Right. If you're a practitioner, you're looking for a home to be around, be surrounded by other people, go check us out on Facebook and LinkedIn, the Global Grief Network. That way you can be up to date on everything that we putting out here into the world as well. But come join this fast growing community that we have, right? And yeah, let's grow together. Let's
Mm,
support one another. But let's have the impact that we want in the world, because we could change people's lives one heartbeat at a time, but I can't do without you, right? You know what I'm saying? So let's build this community. I love you guys. Janna, again, thank you for being on the show. For everyone else, thank you guys for tuning in. And we're going to see you guys in the next one. Have an amazing day. And don't forget to tell the people that you're around that you love them, because you never know what tomorrow may bring. All right. Mwah. Thank you guys.